Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I am your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 59 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and of course, the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to subscribe to the show, share us around on social media, call your friends, tell your parents, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Jeremy Lambert. Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm well. I've been well shared around on social media. I've gotten around.
I hope your wife is okay with that.
She doesn't know about my social media, so that's probably
Keep
for the
that
best.
On the secret level, I see.
Yeah. I don't think she cares to know, honestly. She knows I'm on Twitter, but I don't think she wants to go down that hellhole, and I can't say blame her.
Wife, dude. She has no interest in the social media life.
Yeah.
So we got some stuff to talk about tonight in the world of wrestling, as always. New Japan stuff, ROH stuff, WWE stuff. First of all, Jeremy, there is going to be a big New Japan Pro Wrestling press conference coming up in the early morning of Tuesday. There's a lot of speculation actually around the press conference because many expect it to be kind of the traditional Wrestle Kingdom official announcement of Ibushi and Okada, and maybe a couple other Wrestle Kingdom related style things. But according to the Super J-Cast folks, which are over on Voices of Wrestling, there is actually tons of rumors going on about things that could be announced at this press conference.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I thought the same thing as you, that all right, it's just going to be a Wrestle Kingdom announcement, and because we saw at the end of King of Pro Wrestling that Ibushi and Okada squared off, they pretty much made that match official. And there's been a lot of talk of the double champion thing, so that was another thing that I thought could be the big announcement, is that they're going to announce Ibushi, Okada, and then Jay White, and maybe they'll come up with a challenger. I would assume it's going to end up being Naito, but they'll come up with a challenger at a Power Struggle in November. And then the two winners will meet on the January 5th Wrestle Kingdom show. So I thought maybe that could be an announcement, but it seems like it could be like even bigger than that. I mean, we've both heard the rumors going around that Suzuki might be leaving and Harold Mage might be leaving. I think that's how you say his last name. So we will see shortly. I mean, it's in about 2.5 hours from when we're talking right now. So we probably won't still be recording when it happens, but we will probably both be up.
Yeah, and your pal Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful has hinted at some big New Japan news coming. Big Dave Meltzer said there's something really big coming. So that has led to all kind of speculation. You've kind of already mentioned that there's been lots of rumors already about basically an official / unofficial Wrestle Kingdom tournament where it'd be 4 to 6 guys, and so we could end up with a double champion at the end of things. So that is one possibility I've heard. Super J-Cast also mentions that there is the possibility, the rumors going around, of a Hiromu Takahashi or Shibata return being announced at the presser, which would also be big news because everybody's been waiting on the possible Hiromu return, and everybody's been wondering since Shibata did that angle if he would actually wrestle or if he would just be part of the angle. And a second, because he hasn't been cleared yet but is apparently trying to be cleared.
Yeah, the Hiromu and Shibata, two things I didn't mention, but Hiromu, that's been rumored for, I feel like, a year now, and I'm not even sure he's been out for a year, but that's been a rumor for so long that he's finally going to return. I almost feel like that return shouldn't be a press conference. I feel like that should be like done in the ring during a show. Shibata, on the other hand, would make more sense as a press conference thing because of he's actually retired and no one thought he would wrestle again, and then they did the big angle. So, like, this is how you make the announcement, is at the press conference. So those two things are
they're both
in play
big.
as well.
I agree. I'd rather see a Hiromu return like at a show to confront Ospreay or someone. The Shibata thing, I think, is better set for a press conference because, like you said, he is retired and there was the whole health situation around it. So it would be a big thing, kind of like like Daniel Bryan announcing his return. So I could see that being used as a press conference. Another thing being rumored is that the ROH partnership could be dead and they could announce an AEW partnership, which has obviously been speculated on, but then there's also been rumors of they're not on great terms with AEW, but then a lot of people have thought that was a smokescreen. They're still working with CMLL. They're going to do the Fantastica Mania tour, but there might be some stress on that relationship because of the Dragon Lee stuff. Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, an AEW partnership would certainly be press conference worthy. Do you think it's actually any chance of it happening?
We've discussed this when AEW first came around, and we kind of saw the cracks in the New Japan ROH partnership in that like New Japan and AEW get so much more benefit if they're partnered with each other than ROH. Like ROH doesn't benefit New Japan at all right now, and it's clear that that New Japan kind of sees that. Like they're not really using any of their talent. There's just no benefit for New Japan. ROH obviously has the benefit. They want their New Japan guys, but New Japan gains nothing. But AEW, they gain plenty because Jericho's huge, Moxley's huge, Omega's huge. You could bring back the Bucks. You could bring back Cody. You could bring in a lot of different guys who would fit that New Japan style that are under AEW contract right now. So that would certainly make sense. I'm with you. I think it's a smokescreen that they're kind of like, yeah, we're not on the best of terms and stuff. Like if that was true, you wouldn't have Jericho most likely wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom. Like you wouldn't have put the title on Moxley. Granted, he was most likely going to lose it last night before weather prevented him. You wouldn't have Moxley saying like, yeah, I'm going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. You just wouldn't have this stuff if there was an actual rift in that partnership. But I don't think there is. I think they're on good enough terms to where they're using these guys. So they're clearly on some type of good terms. Yeah, the Bucks have buried them, saying they didn't pay much for World Tag League. And you had Best Friends. It looked like they were going to be set for a good push in New Japan, and they went and signed with AEW. I'm sure that didn't sit well. But you look at just what New Japan has to gain from the companies, and it's night and day of what ROH is offering compared to AEW. The CMLL is the partnership that really throws a wrinkle into things, but now like even CMLL is kind of being bitches with things with the whole Dragon Lee stuff because they got him pulled from Super Junior Tag League.
Speaking of how ROH really has nothing to offer New Japan, you spoke about that, and a big example of that is the only one they used for the Super J Cup was Gresham because he's awesome. You have the Super Junior Tag League coming up, and they're using nobody from ROH. And they desperately needed to make teams.
There's nothing.
So it's like
there's nothing, and you brought it up just a couple months ago. I guess it's only weeks at this point. But the Global Wars tour, it was with CMLL and not New Japan, and it just seemed like things were not on good terms right then, because usually they do the Global Wars tour with New Japan, and they didn't do it. And New Japan, they're running a lot more in the United States, and I mean, yeah, that's gonna affect AEW as well, but AEW is in such a position that is higher than ROH. Even in America, like New Japan is higher on the totem pole than Ring of Honor right now. Ring of Honor just has no buzz, nothing going for it. So I think New Japan, they're run by smart guys. I think they see that they don't have there's no benefit of running with Ring of Honor, while there is plenty of benefit to running with AEW. And I think AEW sees the benefit as well. They're only an American promotion right now, but they do have some traction in Japan because a lot of their guys were stars in New Japan. And we know a lot of those guys liked working for New Japan. It's okay, the Bucks buried the World Tag League pay, but they still enjoyed doing those shows. They got over huge in New Japan. They became like more than just spot guys in large part thanks to New Japan. Omega is obviously not where he's at without New Japan. There's still the relationship with Kota Ibushi. I don't know what it actually is. I would assume that they're just not on speaking terms just because they work for different companies. I'd assume they still talk to each other a little bit. And Cody became a much bigger star thanks to New Japan. Jericho was doing New Japan stuff when he was still technically with WWE. So all these guys like working for New Japan.
So, I mean, again, that would be definitely big and press conference worthy. Who knows if it will happen? I'm fascinated because if that partnership happens, that is another nail in the coffin for Ring of Honor, in my opinion.
I said it, I think, after Roosh won the title, the Death Before Dishonor show. I think ROH is on the WWE network this time next year. I just don't see it with this company, Larry. I really don't see it. And we're going to talk about their recent show, Glory by Honor. And I mean, the show wasn't anything to write home about. Like, there was no buzz for the show going into it. The matches weren't anything special. And then some of the booking decisions are also, it's like, okay, what are you doing here? This company just has nothing going for it.
It kind of doesn't, dude. I mean, we're not trying to be assholes about it. It's just like, you look at the recent attendance, you look at the state of the TV they're running, you look at the whole lack of buzz. Like, I put up my live coverage, I said, yes, there is an ROH show tonight, and people were like, wait, seriously? I mean, and it wasn't even, like, joking. Like, people didn't realize.
No one knew. Yeah, you covered it because you covered everything. At Fightful, we didn't cover... I did the quick results for it, but we didn't even have live coverage for it because it's just like, why bother? Just, there's no buzz for this company, absolutely none. And it sucks because, ROH, I mean, we remember the Glory years where it was like the independent company, and nowadays there's just a lot of misfires. It's been a lot of misfires over the years, and I mean, this is what happens when you pay Matt Taven triple. Do you think ROH was bidding against itself and they just didn't realize?
Probably. That's what it feels like.
Dude, like, honestly, do you really think like NXT was like, yeah, we're gonna make Matt Taven this big contract offer, and AEW was like, we're gonna make him this big contract offer? Like, no knock on Matt Taven, his world title reign obviously didn't set the ROH business on fire. In fact, it was the complete opposite. But we did praise his in-ring work during his world title reign. He had good matches. His promo work, I'm not a fan of, but I'm sure somebody
You're
out
not
there,
a fan
Mark
of him
Radowich,
just coming
likes
out
it.
and saying, I'm Matt Taven?
Yeah, and calling me a Melvin. I don't even know what that means. It's, like, was this guy really desired by these other companies to where ROH was like, we gotta pay him triple?
Hey, you know what? If he
what
talked
he would
ROH
make in
into
NXT.
believing that,
like,
good
really,
for him for getting paid. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, he's Kevin Nash of his time.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah,
That's why Mike Kanellis wants out. He's like, shit, Taven got triple down there in NXT and treated like a god, even though business is down. Right? Like, fucking Mike Bennett or Mike Kanellis is paid very well,
he's
I'm sure, on his
making
5-year deal.
$500,000.
But he's probably like,
I mean, I get that.
so,
I get that he actually wants to work
Taven
and stuff, but like,
making.
Christ, dude, just take the money. You got 2 kids now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I understand his desire to work, and if that's the case, I don't know why they just can't put him on these live events. Honestly, what are you hurting if you're gonna put him on these live events? That's one thing I don't quite get about WWE, but I do get it, is that we know why they're paying these guys. They're paying them because they don't want them to go elsewhere. But let's be honest, if Mike Kanellis hits the free agent market and goes to AEW, ROH, really anywhere, no one's going to be like, oh shit, like, this is a game changer right here. Like, they can afford to let these guys go. But if you're going to pay them this money, like, use them. Just use them. Make them earn that paycheck instead of paying them to sit at home. Like just put them on live events.
Exactly.
It's not going to hurt anybody.
So apparently Mike Kanellis, not a fan of my 205 Live reviews, blocked me on Twitter, which I find hilarious.
He only has one tweet. He deleted all of his tweets except for the one where he publicly asked for his release. He deleted essentially his whole account because Leo Rush was clowning him on Twitter.
So moving on with this New Japan stuff, another thing, rumor brought up by the Super J Cast, and this one would definitely be huge ramifications in Japan. There are rumors of New Japan acquiring All Japan.
That would certainly be huge. I don't know much about All Japan. I can't say that I follow any of All Japan unless I hear about some great match and I see some stuff. But yeah, I'm not an avid All Japan watcher. But I know that the All Japan history dates back many, many decades. And like if they're going out of business and New Japan is acquiring them, then that's a pretty big get. That pretty much... Like it almost monopolizes the Japan market. I guess Noah is still around in some capacity, and then you got other guys like Dragon Gate's there and whatnot. But like All Japan, for all intents and purposes, as far as I know, was the number 2 promotion in Japan.
That would be definitely fascinating, especially because you'd be bringing in like Kento Miyahara, who's their champion, who is awesome, and just a guy I wish I had more time to watch more of because I don't have a ton of time to cover All Japan, unfortunately. But that would definitely shake things up. You would bring in fresh people, obviously. They're running more shows than ever, so I could see the attraction. Plus, you're locking up guys and everything. That would definitely shake things up, and that would definitely be press conference worthy. I don't know the exact percentage I'd put on that. It doesn't. I haven't heard a lot of rumors about All Japan looking to sell or anything lately, but again, I mean, sometimes a lot of that business shit in Japan really flies under the radar until it happens. So,
yeah, it would be fascinating if the big announcement is that they have purchased All Japan, because you really don't hear about any of that. And granted, I don't follow Japan business that much outside of the New Japan stuff, so maybe they are in more trouble than that has been let on, especially publicly. And usually like that's how this stuff kind of happens, is these companies are in more trouble than you would kind of think. Like when WCW went out of business, everyone knew that all right, they're losing money, the ratings are way down, like their television sucks, the pay-per-views are down and stuff. But look at the forces behind the scenes that had to happen for WCW to actually go out of business and to be purchased by WWE. And granted, the internet wasn't a big of a thing at the time, but there wasn't a whole lot for those weeks leading up. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot of, hey, this company is definitely going out of business in 2 weeks. It seemed like, 2 weeks before they went out of business, they just operated as normal.
The big stuff leading up to the end of WCW was the whole Bischoff and Fusion Media was going to buy it, and that was going to be the big story. And then all of a sudden that deal suddenly came to a halt, and then the next thing you know, WWF was buying the company, and for a fucking fraction of what it was worth. Jesus Christ, talk about an investment. The WWE purchased a WCW for just under $5 million. First of all, it was worth it just for that video library alone with the network now. But just like to buy out your competition for that little bit of a money and add a certain level of talents on top of it and everything, it's just, it's still mind-boggling in 2019 how that happened.
It really is. If social media had been a thing back then, I can't imagine what would have happened. The internet may have broken for all we know, but yeah, it was a complete bargain. I think they probably made that money back on just the Monday Night Wars DVD that they were able to produce, because that DVD was a big seller. And then whatever they paid for ECW, they probably made that shit back on that rise and fall of ECW DVD that they were able to produce. Back when they'd produce these great DVDs and you actually wanted to go get DVDs. Now they just produce this content for the network. But like those were two of my favorite DVDs after the big purchase happened. I can't tell you how many times I watched both of them. So they easily made their money back on that stuff, and now especially with the network, all that stuff has a home.
Back with ease. It's insane, really. And then another rumor coming out from these Super J-Cast folks is not a purchase, but a partnership with Stardom to combat the rumored start of NXT Japan, which would maybe feature a women's title match at Wrestle Kingdom or 2.
Okay, I'm for that. I think that's the better route to go then, especially if it leads to Stardom events being on New Japan World, because I don't know if Stardom has their own. Okay, so they do have their own streaming service. So that's a little bit disappointing. I'm not paying for a Stardom streaming service. If it gets grouped into the New Japan World stuff, I'll gladly watch it. But I pay enough money for all these streaming services, and I don't have enough time to watch half of it anyway. So, but that would be a good thing, because I'm kind of sick of people arguing about that shit on Twitter, how New Japan just doesn't have any women's wrestling, and it gets annoying to see these arguments. So at least if they do a partnership with Stardom, they will maybe not have women's wrestling on every single show, but they would likely have a women's match, at least one. It sounds like, at least on Wrestle Kingdom, and then hopefully for these bigger shows, you do these matches on the bigger shows as well, like Power Struggle, like Destruction, like King of Pro Wrestling. So hopefully, if that's what it is, then it leads to some more women's wrestling on New Japan.
That would be definitely interesting. I kind of like the idea of it, and like you said, I'm sick of hearing people bitch about it, because I understand that people want women's wrestling and they want it everywhere, and they feel New Japan is one of the biggest companies in the world, should have it. But the other thing that comes with that is New Japan has to book their company well first. Like, we talk about how the tag divisions are not booked well at all and stuff like that. So, I mean, but yeah, like the occasional Stardom match popping up on a big show and cutting out a useless random 6 to 8 man tag would be good with me.
Yeah, you could headline even some of these, like, maybe it would seem like a step down for these Road 2 shows, but even some of these Road 2 shows, if you want to spice those up a little bit, like, hey, you're going to get a Stardom, a women's match here, maybe a women's title match as a headlining or a co-main event. I mean, how many times on these Road 2 shows it's just the same pairings over and over again? You throw one of these women's title matches or just a women's match in general on these shows, and it adds a little bit to
that. Would definitely be interesting and would shake things up over there, obviously. You would have to think, if it was some kind of partnership, that the exposure would likely help Stardom from an attendance standpoint going forward, which would be good for them. So again, very interesting. And again, these are all rumors we're talking about. We have no idea, just lots of stuff going around. And there's one more that they mentioned, and I've been told this one is not actually a possibility, but again, could be a smokescreen. Rumors of a Hiroshi Tanahashi retirement announcement.
Yeah, I'm not really buying that one either. I mean, the dude can still go. Like, Liger's 54 and can still go. I feel like Tanahashi might be in that similar kind of way where he's still going when he's 50 and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into Tanahashi.
Yeah, I'm not either, especially because they've been really smart with how they use him. He's downgraded on the card from time to time. They heat him up for the G1 and for the occasional big match still. He delivers. And as long as he's happy and feels he can still go, no need to rock the boat there. And I would be very disappointed if that was the announcement, because I think that'd be a shame. But, again, if it could be that if it is a reality, let's look at it from the aspect that it could be. Maybe it's just the fact that he's just sick of being so beaten up and injured that he's like, you know what, it's time. And that would definitely be a sad day.
Definitely. And, losing Tanahashi and Jushin Liger essentially within the same year, if they both go out at Wrestle Kingdom, that wouldn't be very good either. Like New Japan is still stocked with talent, but you're losing legit two legends at the same event, and that's not going to help them. No matter how much talent they have, like losing those two, it would be a pretty significant blow to the company, honestly.
So that is the rumors on the big New Japan news, Jeremy.
What do you think it's going to be? What's your, if you had to make a prediction on what it's going to be? What's your pick?
They're definitely going to make Wrestle Kingdom announcements regarding Ibushi and Okada, and I think if anything, they're going to confirm that the IC title match will be also on the first night, and that the winners will face off the second night.
All right, well that one seems obvious. I want
I don't have
good
any inside
here.
news, man. I don't know. I'd just be guessing.
It's not inside news. They just what's just a bold prediction on
fine. They're gonna tell ROH
think it'll
and the
be.
Lizard Man to fuck off, and they're gonna go with AEW.
There you go. That's what I like to hear. I'm going with the Shibata announcement. I think they announced that Shibata is returning.
So we will see what happens.
So I'm with you that we're most likely. I think the one guaranteed thing would be the Wrestle Kingdom kind of mini tournament where it ends with a double champion at the end of it. I think that is more or less a guarantee at this press conference. Here's my other question: would you be let down if that is the only announcement?
Not really. I mean, because it's not like New Japan is hyping some super gigantic announcement. The hype is coming from other places. Dave dropped that there's he heard that there's big news coming from New Japan. He'd be talking about it. Sean mentioned it. The Super J Cast guys mentioned it, and that's no disrespect to any of those guys. It's just like that's what they're hearing, but sometimes that's not what happens. So if New Japan came out and said we're having a blockbuster press conference and news you can't miss, and that all they announce is the double title thing, then I'm like, well, big fucking deal. We all figured that out like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. Their tease for it has basically just been it's a Wrestle Kingdom press conference. It's news regarding Wrestle Kingdom, and so and that's it. And so if they deliver that, then great. It's everyone else, and it's as you said, not a knock against these guys. It's the same thing with like a CM Punk appearing on WWE or AEW. They keep telling you this isn't going to happen, but everyone's just like, oh, we know he's in Chicago, we know he's met with Fox, like it could happen, but they're just, the actual companies aren't saying, we got this big thing in store. They're all silent on it. Like even Punk in the week leading up to the Fox show, he's just like, yeah, I met with him. That was it. He wasn't saying I'm definitely going to be at Raw. Stay tuned to Raw or SmackDown on Friday. Like make sure you're watching that show. He's like, I'm going to be fucking watching hockey myself, so I don't care if you watch SmackDown. So I'm with you. New Japan is not the one putting the hype into this, and so if they don't deliver on something huge like we expect them to, then it's not on them. Will I feel a little disappointed? Maybe, because it's similar to kind of the All Out feeling where I was just waiting for a big thing to happen at the end of the show and they just closed with Jericho. And that's sort of the cachet that these companies have built up, that we, when we hear something big is going to happen, we sort of expect something big to happen, even if they're not outright, even if the company themselves aren't saying, hey, something big is going to happen.
I mean, I'm interested to see what it ends up being, but I'm not setting my sights super high. I mean, if something huge happens, I think it's going to be, that's really cool if something big happens, especially if it's something kind of shocking like the All Japan purchase or something like that. That would be just crazy. So, but yeah, I have tempered expectations. I'm kind of expecting a, par for the course press conference, but if something big happens, awesome.
I'm with you. I'm excited. We're about 2 hours away now.
So we're going to head over to WWE land, Jeremy. We had the big draft, a 2-night extravaganza. And the rosters are allegedly set for now. The wild card is allegedly dead. And they're going to have these rosters going forward. So I go to you first. What did you think of the overall presentation of the draft this time?
I've been wanting for years. We discussed this when they did the Superstars shakeup earlier this year, and talk about the presentation of that. For years, I've been wanting them to present like an actual draft style, like the NBA or the NFL or any other sports league does. Like that. That's what I've wanted. They did that this year. Was it the greatest thing in the world? Was it a complete home run with how they presented it? No. But they gave me what I wanted as far as the presentation of the draft goes. So I can't knock that. The NBC Fox crossover stuff, like you could tell those guys didn't actually know what they were talking about. They were fed like, hey, just talk about Seth Rollins and how cool he is. Talk about how cool Ricochet is. You got the NFL guys were like Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, I was
Hulk
absolutely
Hogan,
dying
talking
at
about
the
guys
fucking
who, I guess
NFL on
Hogan's still
Fox
around.
guys bringing up all the old timers and dead wrestlers as their favorites.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, okay, like you can tell pretty much none of these guys outside of I guess Glazer watches the product, and so it's like, all right, this is, we know why you're doing this. My favorite one was the NHL one on Raw where Keith Jones is he sucks anyway when it comes to just NHL analysis, and he's a sourpuss, and you could tell he wanted nothing to do with this nonsense, like smirking through it, like, yep, you guys are just paying me, and I'm going to sit here and act like this is fun, but this is really stupid. And that's what sometimes it did come across as, and that doesn't make your product look great. The War Room stuff it was dumb. I don't know. I like Cletus.
That's
I'm
what I
glad
was
my
saying. I
man
hope the
Cletus
Fox
was
robot
there
was
for
making all the
Fox.
picks. He seemed like the smart one in the room.
Yeah, I'm glad Cletus was there. But, they gave me the presentation style. It wasn't GMs. They said, like, these are who the network wanted. And I thought that was a nice touch. I thought Stephanie McMahon as, like, the commissioner announcing these picks was a nice touch as well. So I like the presentation of it. And I like that they're teasing a blockbuster trade. The problem is, obviously, they put out the list and they fucked up and they leaked their own order. So that wasn't a good look. And then they said, well, everyone else is a free agent. And then they come back a couple days later and it's like, all right, here's who got drafted after the draft. Like, wait, they're free agents. Shouldn't it be they were signed? Like, I want them to like fully lean into the sports thing and have like Adrian Wojnarowski of like, hey, here in Cesaro, he's meeting with Fox executives today to see what they think. He's gonna meet with USA networks today to see what kind of plans they have for him. And then they break the big signing when it happens. They break the big trade. I want WWE to have their own Woj. So I like that they're leaning into sports. I actually think they could lean into it more and it could come off a little bit more professional and less
I want Jay Glazer
WWE.
to pop up with a video tonight saying that SmackDown actually broke the salary cap with the Brock Lesnar signing, so that they have to go with the trade.
Yeah.
And, they have to empty about 8 salaries and only pick up like 2 in return and a conditional draft pick for next year.
I see, like, this is the stuff that I 100% want. I wanted like the last pick to be, it should have been like Cesaro, and then you stash him in NXT UK, and then you can bring him over whenever you want, stuff like that. Yeah, like that stuff appeals to me as a sports fan. I get why they can't do quite everything like that. Like, there's no salary cap in WWE, especially on fucking Fox. They're spending whatever they want. So I get why they can't do that stuff. But that's the fun stuff that I enjoy. I hope this trade is actually, like, I'm looking forward to the WWE backstage show with Renee and Booker tomorrow. I guess it's just a preview show. But I'm looking forward to that. I want to see how they're actually going to present WWE, because they are going with a sports-centric kind of thing, and I know that doesn't seem like that's actually happening when you watch that ending of Raw, but they're trying to be a little bit more sports-oriented, and I appreciate that.
Because there's been a lot of rumors that it's going to be similar to kind of like UFC Tonight. and stuff like that, and kind of talk about like the news and stuff with WWE, and we'll see how that goes. It could be interesting, but yeah, I like some of the presentation tweaks. It was much better than have a random match and then you have the pressure luck screen with the and then Apollo Crews. It's like, what? It's like, no, get that shit out of here. And I did feel it was a little more interesting. I do agree with what you said, though. I do like some of the more like actual sports-centric things they tried to do with it. I would have loved for them to be like, the big dog, Roman Reigns to SmackDown, and then Roman comes back out, puts a SmackDown hat on, gives Stephanie a hug, does the whole, like, the commissioner shit,
I was waiting for that with at least the first picks, because the first picks, they did it 5 per round essentially, and like I was waiting for at least the first picks to come out and put on the t-shirt and do all of that whole nonsense, and I'm sure a lot of people would have laughed at that and it would have looked kind of corny, but I think it would have been funny as well.
Trying something different instead of, because we always talk about like the sterile WWE presentation. And it'd be just like something different. So so like I did have to laugh though at some of the draft pick reactions in the quote unquote war rooms. Like Natalia picked the Raw and like the USA Network's going wild. It's like, oh fucking come on. It's like Natty's own family is not excited that she was drafted to Raw. It's like, what?
They should have said when Natalia got picked to Raw, they should have cut to the Fox war room cheering.
It would have been great if for someone like just someone who's like never on TV, like tonight, like Liv Morgan, if they would have showed like Liv Morgan at home in her living room with her family, because like obviously she's not going to be live at the draft because she's never on TV, and then she's all surprised she was drafted. Just little shit like that is just like, it's different, it's kind of amusing, and I appreciate it. So
that actually would have been really good if they cut to Liv Morgan. I should have had the draft green room. Like Ray slipped horribly, and Ray should have just been back there like with Dominic all banged up and shit, and being like why am I not getting picked? Like he's just depressed. This would have been good. Yeah, we should have booked the draft. I like the sports presentation. I think that was for WWE, that was probably as good as
and I did like that they tried to sell it as network versus network because it makes more sense than show versus show.
Agreed.
So
agreed, and because they don't have authority figures, thank God, there's no authority figures out there to do their own draft thing. And show versus show. I still think they could have made that work. The problem is they just never leaned into it enough until
they
Survivor
did a random
Series
big attack
when
on Raw and SmackDown invaded. What the hell are the SmackDown guys doing here? It's like they work for the same fucking company, guys.
Yeah,
they do it every year.
Right. It's legitimately, it was the same angle every single year, and it was the same, 5-on-5 match or same, Raw versus SmackDown matches, and the one time a year the brands collide, and Raw always won and shit, and even though it was like, oh, these are for brand supremacy, it was like never mentioned again, so it never actually mattered. Yeah, they never really delved into that the way they really could have. And now hopefully with network versus network, it certainly makes a lot more sense with the two shows being on different networks and two like highly rated networks. Not like one's on USA and the other one's on UPN or Sci-Fi. Like this is Fox and USA, the number one cable network and a actual like big time network. So I think that works, and I hope they kind of keep up with that and stuff. I hope we do get like trades and whatnot. Like I hope at some point Fox is like, all right, we're not really using this guy. We're not seeing enough of him on TV. Maybe Raw with 3 hours, they value him a little bit more. So we'll make this deal and try to get somebody in return. Like I think that would be some cool stuff.
I hope they really
down
dive
the line.
into some of that stuff, because I think it would make it would be way more interesting than the run of the mill stuff they normally do.
Yeah, exactly. And which probably means we're not going to.
So we'll go through the draft here. We'll give some quick hits on the draftees. A couple things I noticed is a lot of guys kind of didn't change brands. A lot of people kind of stayed on the show they were on, although not a lot of people knew which show a lot of people were on, so I guess that doesn't matter. And then you had a fair amount of 205 Live guys drafted to shows, which I don't think bodes well for the future of 205 Live, as there's been a lot of rumors that that's on the way out.
Yeah, Akira Tozawa got picked before the fucking king, Baron Corbin. So somebody really values Akira Tozawa. I'm glad you knew who was like on the actual brand beforehand, because when they were getting drafted, I was like, what brand was he actually on? It is completely run together for me with the stupid wild card rule. It never comes back. It's dead. Do you follow the WWE on Fox Twitter account? They're good.
Oh,
they're
they
really
fucking
good.
buried
I'm glad
our favorite reporter. That was great.
Yeah, they did. They've got some good tweets. I'm glad
I think they hired.
I don't know who's running the account, but I mean, great. I'm glad that they're showing like that kind of snark though, because you almost have to nowadays. You can't just be an official account and just, all right, tweet your little advertisements and clips and stuff. Like, you get so many replies and whatnot that it's very easy to reply back to this and dunk on some of that stuff. And people eat that shit up on Twitter too. Like, everyone loves
like one of those bullshit like press release things where it's like, we at the Fox Network have talked with the USA Network and have decided that the wild card rule will no longer commence as we are separate shows and blah blah blah. Instead, they put up like a fucking moratorium graphic. It's like, that's funny, and like, I like that. Yeah,
I wish more like official Twitter accounts. Like, you see it all the time with sports leagues. If you follow any of the official team accounts, some of them are very bland, and like the fucking OKC Thunder Twitter account sucks. But then you got some like the LA Kings Twitter account where they're making fun of, if the team's like down 4-1, it's like, well, that didn't go. I don't know if you saw one. It was a blowout. It was like some Division II team, and they maybe it wasn't, but they ended up losing like 54-27. But they were down 54-0, and so they scored 27 straight. And the final tweet was like 27 unanswered points with a bunch of exclamation marks, but then the final exclamation points, and then but the final score graphic was them losing 54-27. Like, stuff like that is fun.
Yeah, I think it's good to you kind of like we always say, even with our show here. So we kind of got to be willing to make fun of yourself at times. It's just, it is what it is. Yeah.
And wrestling's so stupid that it's very easy
That's what I was going to say.
of.
We're fucking talking about professional wrestling. It's like, I love it to death, but it's like, come on, man. It is not the most serious thing in the world.
Literally the dumbest
it's definitely
sport
up
in the world. Dude, we saw this guy's getting his shit burned down for the second straight year. Was it? Oh, maybe not the second straight year. God, but still, he's still getting his premises burned down for the second time in 3 years now. And like, this is your main event.
I'll tell you what's a shame. It's a shame that Progressive is the sponsor for Fox, because that would make actually for an awesome State Farm commercial. Because those State Farm commercials are actually funny. And, like, did you see dude doing, like, the whole, happened back in 2015, and Bray said he wouldn't need fire insurance. We tried to tell him.
I mean, Progressive should get on that. That's definitely more of a State Farm thing. But, shit, we're supposed to see these WWE stars being integrated in this stuff. I would love to see that.
He could eat the face off of that little Jimmy Dork or whatever the fuck his name is, and that'd be good. All right, so we're starting SmackDown roster, Jeremy. We started off. Let's do kind of quick hits. The big dog Roman Reigns to SmackDown.
Yeah, makes sense.
The Fiend.
That one was weird. I thought he was definitely gonna be on Raw, but he's on SmackDown, and we'll see what happens there. We will get to see what the Fiend can really do, I feel like, because there's a big split on him right now where a lot of people love everything he's doing, eating up, and then there's other people who are like, okay, it's goofy and it's not drawing anything, so why do so many people like that? Like, he's gonna be on Fox, they're gonna push him. I'm sure you saw Bray Wyatt going around to the local Fox shows before Hell in a Cell and doing the weather and shit, so they can put him on these shows as Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt and get some mileage out of that. So we'll see. Certainly interesting. I thought he was definitely going to stay on
trade
Raw.
possibility number 1: The Fiend and the Puppets to Raw for Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy. Early speculation.
Sure, I'm fine with that. Trade. I'm fine with that trade.
Yeah, according to sources. Sasha Banks going to SmackDown to be with Bayley.
Yeah, a little weird. Like, I'm fine with it, but Becky and Charlotte were all over the Fox advertisements, and they both ended up on Raw. And I mean, Fox had to get something. Really, the 4 horsewomen were your 4 biggest stars, and so you're probably going to split them up across the 2 brands. And Sasha and Bayley end up on SmackDown.
I was thinking it was going to be. I thought Sasha was going to win the title, and her and Charlotte would end up on Raw, and then Becky would be on SmackDown with Bayley. But totally wrong on that one. So.
That's what it looked like it was going, but you have to remember that would mean Rollins would have to be on SmackDown as the Universal Champion. No, but
I don't
they're
care.
Engaged. They're going to be married. They're not splitting up. They're not splitting them up on the 2 different brands.
Becky
so
Lynch.
I mean,
I care about him feeling bad being separated. I don't. Okay. I really don't.
Fair enough.
Plus, he's a fucking geek in it. He's a fucking geek.
He's gonna burn your house down now.
Beat the shit out of him with my prosthetic leg. Shit's bulletproof and fireproof. He can't fight with me. But no, I really don't care about Seth anyway. Braun Strowman getting sent to the blue brand.
Yeah, that was a pretty big surprise because I think Strowman is kind of a Heyman guy, and so him going to Fox is different. It's good though. Like, he's never really been on SmackDown. I feel like he's always been on Raw, so it'll be a nice change of scenery if nothing else.
I saw him, like you said, as more of a Paul Heyman guy. So Lacey Evans is going to SmackDown. Yeah, it's she's fine. It's just she's damaged because they brought her up and feuded her with Becky too early. So.
And then they teamed her with Natalya after they spent.
I love that Natalya comes out and goes,
"There's
nobody I'd rather team with than somebody that was took me to the limit." I'm thinking, Beth Phoenix is 200 feet away.
Yeah, like, really, there's nobody like Naomi, Ronda Rousey. I know she wasn't coming back, but Rousey, yeah, Beth Phoenix. There's literally nobody that you'd rather team with than the woman who has disrespected your family and your legacy.
I just kind of shook my head at that one. So, the Revival staying on SmackDown as they weren't on SmackDown, but they were the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and they're staying.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I hope we see more of them.
My only disappointment to them going to SmackDown is that Orton went to Raw, and I actually really enjoyed their little trio.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Revival, RKO, and I would have liked to see more of that, but I guess maybe Randy Orton will be part of the big
Bray and
blockbuster
the
trade.
Puppets for Randy Orton. That's a good deal for SmackDown.
That's a good deal, actually.
Yeah. Lucha House Party leaving 205 Live and WWE Main Event for SmackDown. I like Lucha House Party. They're a fun little act. They're never going to get pushed, but they're a lot of fun.
I agree. I think all 3 of those guys are super talented, and I wish they
get some kind of run.
Yeah, like, I think all of them should get some type of a push because they're all talented. It's just I don't have any faith in that happening, so they're just gonna be
Stakes
guys.
and Weights, Heavy Machinery staying on SmackDown.
It's cool. I like Heavy Machinery. They're fun, but we'll see.
Apollo Crews staying on SmackDown, a guy they could do a lot more with, but probably won't.
Yep. This was my feeling when I was like actually watching the draft on Friday night. Is I was really excited about it because the promise of change and everything, and it's like, okay, cool. And the way the presentation was going to come off, I was like, oh, they're doing the sports thing that we talked about. So I was excited. And then like you start seeing these draft picks, and I'm just like, I don't care about any of these guys. Not that I don't care about them,
Just
not
not
that I don't think
invested
they're
in
talented,
anyone.
but I'm just like, right, like Apollo Crews is cool. I wish they would do something with him, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, why do I give a fuck that like Apollo Crews got drafted? He's been on TV like 3 times
Yeah,
since he
pretty
got
much.
called up.
The Law has left 205 Live. Drew Gulak coming to SmackDown.
And fine, I like Drew Gulak. I hope he does well on SmackDown, or maybe he's there because 205 Live
Yeah,
needs
I mean,
bodies.
obviously he can still do 205 Live if they're going to keep taping afterwards, but I need Drew Gulak versus Daniel Bryan, my friend.
Yeah, I need Drew Gulak versus a lot
Kind
of
of excited
people.
for that because they seem to really like Drew. He has a lot of potential. Heath Slater gets out of WWE main event purgatory and heads over to SmackDown to be a dude and stay in catering.
Yeah, I don't like
Tamina
sure Heath
remains
Slater.
employed and she's on SmackDown.
Awesome.
Other people that are still employed for reasons, the B team are on SmackDown.
Cool.
And then we started getting into some more serious names. We got Brock Lesnar announced on Raw going to SmackDown, the WWE champion of the world.
Yeah, it made sense because he's the WWE champ that he would be on SmackDown. I like that Raw picked Rollins over Lesnar because it showed a little bit more importance to Seth Rollins. Like I think it helped boost his stock a little bit, and Rollins does have 2 victories over him this year, so I think it made sense to like, yeah, we would want Seth Rollins over Brock Lesnar. I don't think they hammered that home enough, but
Yeah, that's one
I'll
thing
do
that
it
we
for
talk
them.
about. The WWE commentary, people just like to go, well, the WWE commentary is not good. Well, that's an easy blanket statement to make. It's not good because they didn't hammer home shit like what Jeremy just said. They should have been going, obviously the WWE Network picked Seth Rollins over Brock Lesnar because he beat him twice and because he's had such success. They should have hammered the shit out of that talking point, but didn't. So that's why
Yeah,
the commentary
definitely.
teams are bad,
Like,
because they ignore shit like that that's actually important. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I said it. I don't like trying to like have to explain things for WWE, but the WWE is very weird in that they will either under explain
it's
or
Shorty
give no
Gable and they
explanation,
hammer it
or they
over
will
your
just
head 1,000
over explain. Yeah, exactly. Like there's no middle ground when it comes to WWE
The New
and
Day
this
staying on
stuff.
SmackDown.
And that's good. I like this pick for SmackDown, the at Fox executives, because it's a
And
3 for
you
1
had the
pick.
counteract
So
Raw taking the OC.
yeah, exactly. So I like this pick. The New Day are great. I think especially on Fox, like if they're gonna do this crossover stuff that they keep talking about, and we've seen a little bit, but especially if they're going to really hammer that now that the show is actually on Fox, like New Day is perfect for a lot of that stuff. They can pop up on their fucking, I don't know what sitcoms Fox has nowadays, but New Day could easily pop up on those sitcoms. Simpsons
Animated
is
New
still
Day.
going. You can put New Day on the, yeah, like you could easily do that. They can do all these commercial spots. Kofi is fantastic on all these like talk shows and stuff because he's not going to say anything out of line. He's going to give you very good and smart answers that play well on television. He's going to have fun. Like Xavier is the same way, and Biggie goes a little bit off the cuff, a little more than the other two. So maybe they'll want to keep him away from some of those talk shows, but I'm sure if he knows the deal, he's gonna mind his manners. But like, I think they could get a lot of mileage out of just the promotion
I agree.
of
It's
New
a
Day.
smart pick. Daniel Bryan staying on SmackDown. Obviously good for the brand because Daniel Bryan is awesome. So,
yes, agreed.
Don't piss off Pam. Bayley, the SmackDown Women's Champion, staying on SmackDown. What did you think of the heel turn and title win on SmackDown?
I thought it was great. Once it was telegraphed because like once she murdered the Bailey buddies, which I was all for. I thought that was awesome. And she had the new haircut. It's like, all right, either she's winning the title or you're completely burying this thing right off the bat. And that made me a little concerned that, oh shit, they might completely bury this thing. But then I forgot, like, they're in such a rush to give Charlotte her 17th title victory that they're just going to keep having her do these like 2-day reigns to get there faster. I thought it would have made more sense if Charlotte had beaten her on the show, and then Charlotte could stay on SmackDown. Bayley could have, I guess you wanted to have Bayley and Sasha together to make them both happy. But at any rate, I thought Charlotte could have beaten her, and then Bayley, like that's when she went into kind of madness after another loss. Then she decided to murder the Bayley buddies after she lost. But I liked it. It was good. I'm all for this new Bayley character, and I like her
brought up
haircut.
the Bayley heel turn. Like when we talked about her turn heel, I brought it up weeks ago that she needed to freshen up her look. She needed to murder the Bayley buddies. I jokingly said stab them to death, and that's basically what she did. So yeah, I mean, it was long overdue. I hate that they did the title run only because it was really only done to give Charlotte another title reign. Everybody's like, no, it was to solidify Bayley. No, it wasn't. Yes, they turned her heel, and I love the new look and everything, and I think there's a ton of potential there. But please don't wear the rose-colored glasses and think that Bayley is their top priority over Charlotte in this scenario.
It was a 5-day title reign. It was completely unnecessary outside of just giving Charlotte another title reign.
Well,
but we've seen this a lot with Charlotte.
3-minute title run in Money in the Bank.
Yeah, but I mean, like we've seen this a lot with Charlotte. Is she just wins the title and she doesn't hold it for very long, and that's what it is, and we know why they're doing it. It's just kind of, it doesn't make it feel very meaningful. Like when she finally gets to 16 and 17, it's like, okay, great. Like what Charlotte title run do you actually remember?
Yeah,
though?
I don't.
Like name me a good Charlotte title run where she had just very good matches and she held it for like 6 months. Has she had a 6-month reign?
I can't remember because they're just
runs?
all running together because there's been so many in like 4 years.
Yeah, it's been a lot in a short amount of time, and as you said, like it all just runs together for me. I don't remember her having this really good like established run. Maybe she did, and I'll look it up here in a second. But the fact that it doesn't come off the top of my head is probably an issue.
So yeah, you can look that up. Shinsuke Nakamura staying on SmackDown as the IC champion, and it looks like Sammy's staying with him, although they didn't say that officially. Obviously, that makes sense because AJ was on Raw with the OC, and you need to keep the secondary titles separated.
I'm fine with that, Sammy. I like the pairing with Sammy and Nakamura, and I hope they do some more with it.
Ali staying on SmackDown, a guy they could do way more with than they have so far.
Definitely. I like that, Ali faced Andrade and they had a pretty competitive match, and then Zelina interfered and that led to Ali losing. I think he should have actually been drafted like right after that match with like, we boosted his profile. Like we took Andrade with the 5th pick in the first round. Like he's a first round pick and Ali was right there with him, but Zelina interfered. Like now we should take him in this round. Like he's clearly got talent. I thought it was a missed opportunity to not have him go immediately after that match. Again, you're putting more thought into
the draft process than they did.
Well, yeah, they released their list online with the complete draft order, and then when it was pointed out, they realized it and decided to switch it up.
So Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler heading to SmackDown after losing the Raw Tag Team titles. Good addition to the tag division. They'll be fine.
So Charlotte is actually the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion for a single reign, when she held it for 147 days. That was her first title reign as the SmackDown Women's Champion. I don't remember any of it, but there you go. She is technically the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion for a single reign.
Yeah, I seriously can't remember a lot of memorable stuff from them. And I'm not trying to be an asshole about it. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't either, honestly.
Rude and Ziggler going to SmackDown.
Talking about Rude and Ziggler? Sure.
Carmella staying on SmackDown. Separated from R-Truth, though. Disappointed in that.
Yeah, she gets Bailey, though. She's now friends, they're still friends in real life. And she gets to be on the same brand as Bailey, and she's on the same brand as Corey Graves. So it was pretty obvious Carmella was going to SmackDown.
Yeah, I'll just miss
Graves is
the
over there.
stuff with Truth because they had some really good interactions.
I thought it's really dumb that Truth could even be drafted. Like I think the 24/7 title, I guess okay, if he loses the title, maybe it works like the Kabuki Warriors, where we know that that's going between brands, but if they lose the belts, like then the Kabuki Warriors are part of Raw. I hope it's the same way with Truth in that, he's the 24/7 champion. He should have to show up to SmackDown and potentially defend that title. And okay, if he loses the title, then he's part of Raw. But as long as he's the champion, he should be on both shows.
The next pick, the Fox invaded the USA Network and they stole the Miz, Jeremy.
Very, very surprising pick that, USA's got his own reality show and they didn't value this guy to make him a top priority there. They Marjo, clearly the star of the show. They're like, we don't care if we lose Miz. We still got
and
Marjo.
much like the point you brought up with the New Day, Miz is a guy who can do a ton of publicity for Fox in that show. So, and he's excellent at that.
Yeah.
But I was surprised to see him actually go to SmackDown just because of Miz and Mrs. being on USA. King Corbin on
Agreed.
SmackDown.
I'm fine, sure. I don't mind Baron Corbin. I thought the fact that like Humberto Carrillo and literally Akira Tozawa was picked one pick before King Corbin, and it's all right. If you're an executive, honestly, what makes you think Akira Tozawa has like a higher ceiling than King Corbin, who just won King of the Ring and has been pushed on television pretty much the entire year?
Well, that is because Akira Tozawa is awesome and King Corbin sucks.
Sure, but what makes you think like
King Corbin?
Okay, now that he's on our brand,
okay.
That's fair. I'm fine with that actually. Even though he's a former NFL player, so he probably has good combine numbers. Honestly, like, he probably.
Tozawa has like big baggy airy pants.
Maybe he had to wear.
Fine. Lightning.
He had to wear his robe when he was doing the combine, and he had to have his 40 time
down. Did not impress the USA Network.
Yeah,
Shorty Gable staying on SmackDown.
Sure.
I do not want to see him again, but unfortunately, we're going to get it.
Didn't Corbin say, like, I'm not wrestling you anymore because you're too short for me to wrestle? And he's wrestled him like 5 times.
And finally, Elias staying on SmackDown.
Sure. We haven't really seen Elias, but
he's been out hurt.
That's fine.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Now we go to Raw. We got Becky Lynch, number 1 draft pick to Raw.
Yep, I mean Becky's awesome, so can't
just slightly surprising because of, like you mentioned earlier, the Fox adverts had her heavily in them, but maybe just a red herring to throw everybody off. She goes to.
I mean, she's the Raw Women's Champion, so you had to. Yeah, she could have, but like you had to have her be that first pick because. I mean, she is kind of like she just won the main event of WrestleMania, so it makes sense that she would be the first pick.
SmackDown valued the big dog over her.
Well, SmackDown didn't have the first pick.
They like Roman better. I'm just talking shit. I don't know. It's a fucking WWE draft. How serious do you want me to really get? Sorry, DOC going to Raw, Larry. Big value pick 3 for 1.
Yeah, I'm a fan of any 3 for 1
Drew McIntyre pick. Going to Raw. Hopefully they fucking decide to do something with this guy.
Probably not. I think Heyman should like him, so I this is the highest hopes I have for
Randy Orton going to Raw. Hopefully Paul Heyman can light a fucking fire under this guy's ass.
I think Randy Orton's
could be
traded.
For brand of puppets.
I'm fine with that deal. I think that's actually a good trade. I think Randy Orton's just gonna end up on SmackDown or in fucking working this Monday show. He's gonna maybe he doesn't want to work the Friday show. I don't know.
Wife at the beach.
Yeah, and go on Twitch.
Play video games.
Cause some controversy. I feel like he would get along better with Bischoff though. Like Bischoff was just let him do kind of whatever the fuck he wants. I mean, Orton's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants anyway. But Bischoff probably like, sure, Randy, you're fine.
Ricochet staying on Raw.
Sure. Ricochet got a little showcase match on Raw as well. So, Heyman I think is a Ricochet guy, so should
Bobby
be good
Lashley staying on Raw to bang Lana.
Yeah. What an angle.
All I could think of is like I had paused my TV at one point because I had to get a drink, and it was during the Lashley and Lana segment, and I paused it right when he was holding the towel up. And somebody tweeted me on Twitter because I was joking about it being a Brazzers production. I got to pull this up here real quick. Your Twitter's being slow as shit. Hang on. And I could not help but to laugh because it felt like a legitimate like porn site title to this story. And it was on so I have the screen. It's on my screen. He's holding the towel up, staring down at Lana's bosom or whatever. And okay, so someone tweeted at me, hot blonde takes big black cock while husband watches. That seems like that's legit off the browser site.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
What an angle.
What a fucking story that Amazing. Is. Yeah.
That's right.
Telling stories, brother.
Alexa Bliss going to Raw. This is where WWE realized that they fucked up the draft order and released it, so they couldn't take her and Nikki Cross at the same time, so they made USA look like idiots and took them separately.
Yeah, that was really dumb. That was, like, it says that, it was dumb in that one, USA just didn't take them both at the same time if you wanted them, because it says on the thing, like, okay, you can take only one if you want only one. So if they were like, oh, we only want Alexa Bliss, then fine, just take Alexa Bliss. But then a few picks later, they took Nikki Cross, and it's like, okay, why did you do that? Like, you just wasted your pick. Maybe they thought SmackDown was going to take Nikki Cross to split them, and then when they didn't, they were like, well, shit, Nikki's still there. Let's just take her. But in that case, just
it made no sense. But I think that was smart to keep them on the same brand because they're still a fun pairing. Kevin Owens going to Raw.
Yeah, agreed. Sure. I mean, I like Kevin Owens. I'm sure he'll do well in Raw. Heyman will probably love him. I hope
with Paul
Heyman,
should be good. Hopefully having, the control he's supposed to have, that he will be behind Kevin Owens more than they were on SmackDown. And please don't say they were behind Kevin Owens because they gave him the Shane feud, because that was just a drag on TV for months.
No, that feud sucked. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad Kevin Owens won. That doesn't mean like they were super behind him. Yeah.
On Raw, whoopity-doo.
USA Network was thrilled to death. What do you talking about?
So I just laughed. Like I said, her family wasn't even that excited she was staying on Raw.
This was the biggest draft steal in draft history.
All right. So USA ended up with a really smart-looking pick as they picked the Viking Raiders Friday night, and they won the tag titles on Raw.
Yeah, USA. Maybe they knew something. Maybe they got the leaked
Love the
script.
Viking Raiders though, and hopefully they keep doing really well. Yeah.
They're awesome and they win.
Yeah.
What a novel concept.
Yeah, they
a team
go in
that
there,
just
they look
beats
badass,
everybody.
they kick the shit out of people, and they win with their fucking move. What more do you want? The Street Profits go into Raw, presumably to wrestle the OC at some point.
That was so dumb on Raw tonight, where they're like, "We want the smoke tonight," and even the Twitter account was like, "6-man tag match tonight." And then the Kabuki Warriors, Lacey Evans, Natalia match lasted like 30 minutes. It's like, did you guys forget about this shit? The Street Profits on Raw makes all the sense in the world because they were on Raw for, I feel like, months just doing backstage stuff. And I'm all for Street Profits and OC feud with whoever they get thrown in there. John Morrison, I guess. He's a Street Profit now. All these guys want RVD.
Yeah,
we know he wants the smoke.
Eric Young on Raw to stay on main event.
Sure. Eric Young looked to be in good shape when he got squashed by Aleister
He's still
Black.
a good worker. It's just they just haven't done anything with him. They called Sanity up and then just destroyed the stable and did absolutely nothing with it. So.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Young's a good hand.
Hit you with a fucking chair for calling him a good hand. EC3 staying on Raw so he can still work main event.
Poor guy. I want to watch the ride along with him, Drake Maverick, and Braun Strowman, just to remember what the guy sounds like.
Sin Cara, amazingly enough, still under contract on Raw. So I'm sure he'll be a main event fixture whenever he eventually comes back. And then we have Seth Rollins staying on Raw as the Universal Champion. Obviously a smart move.
Yep, and with Becky
Charlotte
there, that was a pretty obvious move. Yeah, this one was definitely surprising, especially after she lost once she lost the SmackDown Women's title, that freed her up to go to Raw. But it was a surprising move just because I thought Fox would end up with one of Becky or Charlotte simply because they were the two most heavily pushed females during the promotions in the last month. So it just seemed like one of them was going to end up on Fox. And
my biggest worry about this is that with Charlotte and Becky on this brand, that they're going to feel the need to have to feud them a lot, and that we're going to run into the same problems we had when we had Ronda here, is that they're not going to be really bringing up anybody else to be a viable challenger or for people to care about.
I mean, that's most certainly going to happen.
So that's what I worry about. And with Charlotte going to Raw, Andrade went to Raw with Zelina Vega.
Yeah, once Charlotte was on Raw, it was pretty obvious that Andrade was going to be there as well. Zelina Vega calling him the Four Horse Faces.
Died.
Andrade looked at her like, well, I'm dating one of them in real life, right?
That ranks right. I laughed really hard actually at that. That ranks right up there. Do you remember when Scott Hall used to mock the Giant all the time? He'd sit there and do the choke slam and zombie walk. Well, then, like, the Big Show, the Giant, the Big Show, turned face and heel 8,000 times. And then there was a match where he turned heel and joined back with the NWO. And he's tagging with Scott Hall. And Scott Hall gets in the ring and he fucking, like, choke slams Rey Mysterio. So Scott Hall does the little choke slam thing and starts mocking the Giant and turns around and realizes, oh, fuck, I'm tagging with the Giant. And it's just like, I don't know, simple things like that make me laugh. But yeah, when she said that and Andrade kind of gave her the side, I was like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's funny. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, that was good. I hope Andrade does good things on Raw.
Yeah,
Big fan of Andrade.
I have
a
little bit of hope with him because of Heyman. But yeah, it's he's a guy that they just haven't done a lot with, and he's worth so much more than what they've done so far. So, Kabuki Warriors, or USA Network picking up more titles as women's tag team champions. I am really digging the new edgy heel Kabuki Warriors, man.
It's good. It's really good, and I'm glad to see it because, yeah, they got called up and not called up, but they got paired up and did absolutely nothing. And it's good to, Yeah, heel Asuka's awesome. Kyrie is doing well with that. So I'm glad to see it. They should have beaten Lacey Evans and
Yes,
Natalia a
that match
lot
felt
quicker
like
tonight.
it lasted about an hour and a half. But Rusev staying on Raw to watch Lashley fuck his wife.
Yeah, I mean, once Lana/Lashley got drafted to Raw, Rusev was obviously going to stay because I'm pretty sure Lana and Rusev are still married in real life, but maybe
did you
they're
not see that
breaking
Lashley
kayfabe.
was in his bedroom fucking his wife? No way, man. It's real, Jeremy.
Look, sometimes these angles, they start that way and then they do turn a little bit real. So Rusev, I don't know. I'm sure it's different than it was back in the day, but yeah.
With Zelina Vega heading to Raw, Aleister Black heads to Raw as well. Reportedly a guy Heyman really likes as well.
Yeah, I mean, he squashed Eric Young, and once Zelina was on Raw, then Aleister Black.
I like that they're
was
establishing a secondary finish for him too.
Yeah, it looks kind of goofy, and I don't know how actually.
He's won more matches with it than fucking Sonata has. Fuck's sake, Sonata used that move about 93 times against Okada, which we'll talk about later. Cedric Alexander staying on Raw, a guy, again, they could do a lot more with, and Heyman reportedly likes a lot.
And hopefully they do more.
Humberto Carrillo heading to Raw from 205 Live.
Sure. I don't have anything against Humberto Carrillo. It was just very weird seeing his name this high with all the other people that were still not taken.
Dimples, man. Paul Heyman fell in love with him. That's right. Eric Rowan heading to Raw, which fascinates me because Luke Harper is a free agent, and I kind of want Harper and Rowan versus the Viking Raiders.
I don't know, how much longer Harper is going to be there because I don't think he's re-signed.
His contract was supposed to be up in November, but they added time due to his injury.
Okay, well, still, I just don't know. I feel like once his contract is up, he's gone. So I don't know how much they're really going to put into him. Well, you can bring him back and
have him and Rowan challenge and have Harper take the pin. Be a good match.
Sure, that's true, and it may still happen.
Big match. Agency. Buddy Murphy heading to Raw. Love Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, GOAT, Buddy Murphy.
Hey, Jinder Mahal is still alive and under contract on injured reserve, heading to Raw. Risky pick, even though late in the draft. Jeremy, I'm not sure about this one.
That was another one where it's like, this dude hasn't done anything forever, and he's injured. Well, why are you taking him at all? I don't even know why he's on the draft list, but whatever. Former world champion Jinder Mahal.
That's all I'm saying.
Definitely a bit
R-Truth drafted to Raw. I'm disappointed with this one. USA Network disrespecting R-Truth. Former NWA champion, US champion, tag team champion, and current 24/7 champion. How do you wait to draft him after Jinder Mahal? Come on. Horrible. Samoa Joe heading to Raw. Obviously, Paul Heyman loves Joe, so not a surprise at all.
Samoa Joe's gonna cut great promos and have good matches and just lose a bunch. Put Samoa Joe on WWE Backstage every week. He was so good at the little draft position thing, and his little shots at Renee Young are my favorite.
See, you're still making money from the family, right? I love the fucking so low key shots at Ambrose when he does that. It's just like. Because it's nothing like ha 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 fuck your husband, he left. It's just it's such a little dig because everybody knows her husband's gone, so she's the only one working for the company. Yeah, it's just it's very low key and it's humorous. I like it.
My favorite one was when Ambrose got injured and he's like, "You're a one income household now."
Joe is a guy I can see ending up with a job for life doing the talkie shows for the company. Pre-show panels and shit. He's so good.
I mean, he's really good at that stuff, and it's pretty clear that they're grooming him for something like that by, putting him out there while he's injured to do these shows. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up on an episode of WWE Backstage at some point. Like Joe is, he's good at that stuff. Then I got a lot of guys who can do that kind of stuff, which again they've got a lot of fucking talent.
You look at some of the choices they've made, because like obviously like Aiden English is doing commentary on 205 Live, which was really smart because obviously they realized they weren't going to do jack shit with him as a wrestler, but he has a really nice voice, so we'll try him out on commentary, and he's actually really good. So it's like I like that like certain guys like this, they realize like things like that. And you know what? If Joe ends up with a job for life where he doesn't have to worry about taking bumps and making money, I'm super happy for him. So, Akira Tozawa heading to Raw. The only disappointment about him heading to Raw is I was hoping he'd end up on the same brand as Apollo Crews, because they're actually really good friends in real life, and I wanted like a buddy comedy show / tag team with them.
Well, maybe we'll get a trade.
With the Randy
that will
Orton
be a throw-in on the
yes.
trade. It'll be the sweetener. Yeah, it'll be one of the sweeteners in that deal. He was a high pick, so he's higher than the fucking guy who won King
Benjamin
of the
heading
Ring.
to Raw. He actually got on TV tonight, so that was nice to see that he was still alive. Like Shelton.
Good hand.
Rey Mysterio going to Raw, and he's going to get to work with like the fucking 205 Live All-Stars here, because you have like Cedric and Carrillo and Buddy Murphy and Tozawa. Like, that's a bunch of fun little matches for Rey.
And I think Heyman really values Rey as well. I don't know, like Bischoff, Bischoff likes to take credit for bringing Lucha to the U.S. with the cruiserweights and whatnot on WCW, but he obviously didn't actually value those guys. He's just like, hey, these are good wrestlers that the crowd reacts to. Let's throw them out there in the first match, and that's it. And that's where they'll be forever. Heyman actually... Yeah, and unmask Rey and all this shit. Like, Heyman actually puts value into them. So I think this is
because if you want to get real about it, Heyman's the one who brought the Luchas really in with ECW, and then Heyman saw that it got
exactly.
Bischoff saw that it got over, and then started signing them all. So, Titus O'Neil gets drafted to Raw so he can keep working main event. The only disappointment here is that he separated from Heath Slater, and they had recently reformed Slater Gator on main event, so I'm disappointed. Because I'm one of 3 people that watches main event. So.
You are. Why do you watch main event? Isn't it the same match every week?
Part of my contract, man. Got to cover it. WWE program. Finally, the last pick of the draft, Jeremy, Liv Morgan to Raw.
This wasn't like super surprising. I think Heyman likes Liv Morgan, and she's been pushing very hard to get back on TV and stuff, because Ruby Riot's hurt. Sarah Logan is a mainstay
facing
on main
Dana
event.
Brooke again this week.
And
for like the 12th time this year. They did. They had like 7 matches, then they teamed together. I thought they were going to be the female bar and attack the tag team champions, but it didn't work
out. But Liv Morgan, I'm glad she got this spot. I almost feel like she's going to be Carmella-esque, because remember in the initial draft, however many years ago, like Carmella was like that last pick for SmackDown, and like look at Carmella now. I could see a same kind of trajectory for Liv Morgan.
What they do with Liv. I think she does have potential and everything. It's just they haven't done anything with her. So, and then we have some notable free agents, Jeremy. The Usos, Cesaro, Matt Hardy, AOP, Hawkins and Ryder, Dana Brooke, Drake Maverick, Sonya and Mandy, Luke Harper, Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose, Sarah Logan, Naomi, and the Iconics. Plus, we have some injured people like Jeff Hardy, Ember Moon, Ruby Riott, and Nia Jax not picked.
We'll see where these people go. It's kind of like the Iconics weren't picked, which, they're former women's tag team champions. Like Matt Hardy not picked. Cesaro is obviously a big one there. So How did Cesaro not do good in the combine? I don't care if was what the fuck he was wearing. Like, Cesaro's a freak of nature. Now he's got to fucking job the man sore in a couple of weeks. Jesus Christ, that poor guy. I mean, it'll be good, but then like he's gonna lose the Mansoor, and then Mansoor is never gonna be used on television because they don't actually have plans for him. They're just throwing him out there because it's the fucking Saudi show. Be a big star. That's very true. Yeah. There's some good like talent free agent wise, and we'll see where they end up. Hope Cesaro wins up in NXT.
I'm still pissed that they didn't stick him in NXT UK for a while, just to have some bangers with people and actually make the show interesting. Because that episode this week was a dire episode. It wasn't like it was horrible. It was just like boring 2-star specials with nothing happening. Yeah.
On NXT UK, I tried to binge watch the show last week because I don't think I've watched an episode since the Takeover show, and so I try to like watch an episode a day. That's literally all I can do is like one episode a day because like nothing stands out as being like nothing stands out as like being good. Like nothing seems to get a reaction. It's like they're introduced, the crowd doesn't react at all. They have a nothing match and somebody wins, and I'm just like, who the fuck is this guy? Like Noam Dar is the person who stands out the most, and Cassius Ohno, because I guess Cassius Ohno is awesome, but like all the actual like NXT UK guys, it's like, all right, there's another pasty white guy. Does this guy have facial hair or not?
How dare you insult the UK wrestlers? We're to get an angry email. Like, we're not all pasty.
Where's my man Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne? Like they were barely used. Like Walter's not being really used. Yeah, like they didn't keep Cesaro around for those tapings. It's just such a like nothing show. The takeovers are great. I mean, Walter and Tyler Bate might be my favorite match this year.
And again, the thing is, it's not like someone's going to go, well, you can't expect Cesaro just to relocate to the UK. That's not what we're talking about. They tape like every 2 months. All he had to do was stick around the next day, shoot 3 episodes of TV or whatever they did, and then come back in 6 to 8 weeks and do it again. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, he doesn't have to relocate at all. He just has to go there every month or so. He was literally there after NXT UK Takeover. He was literally there, and he could have done the 2 nights of tapings after it, or the one night, however many nights of tapings they did. I think they only did one. But they fucking flew him back so he could lose to The Miz in 8 minutes.
So that is the draft. I mean, obviously, I think with all the WWE draft stuff, Jeremy, there is obviously potential with a lot of the guys. It just comes down to how they're booked. Here's the thing, Jeremy. You like the execution. Do you think that they will actually stick with the rosters this time? I mean, I'm not talking about, like, a trade is fine, but I'm just saying, do you think that, like, they will actually stick with it, or, you know, in 6 weeks are we going to get guys like Roman Reigns randomly showing up on Raw because the rating's dipping?
No, I think they'll stick with it because they've hammered it home so much, and I think having Heyman and Bischoff and having actual 2 different networks, one being Fox, like there's reason to stick with it. And like at this point you have to, because if you don't, you're just continuing to ruin any kind of credibility you have with the fan base. And I mean, there's a reason that these viewership numbers just keep dipping. It's because they keep saying these things and they don't actually do anything. And so the fan base it's like, all right, well, why am I sticking around here? And yeah, okay, it's a joke of, oh, these people aren't really canceling the network. These people are still going to watch every week. Like, look at the numbers aren't lying. Like, a lot of these people are tuning out week after week. Sure, there's a core fan base that's still there, that's maybe always going to be there, but you've even shrunk that down to thirds over the last however many years. So you can't keep doing that. Like you've got to make good on these promises sooner or later. And this is an easy promise to make good on. Just keep the roster separate. Like if Roman Reigns appears, because he's on SmackDown, if Roman Reigns appears on Raw, is that boosting the Raw rating?
I don't think
honestly,
it is. But I mean, you know how they sit there and they think that certain guys are going to pop a rating or whatever.
Yeah, I know they're thinking, but the numbers really don't lie. Like, there's no evidence that Roman Reigns actually pops a rating at this point. Like, none of these guys, and that's what I was talking about of. When, I was excited for the draft and then it starts, and by like the third pick, I'm just like, okay, like I like this person, but am I invested in this person? And the answer was always no, I'm really not. It's like, all right, yeah, I like Roman Reigns. I like AJ Styles. I like Daniel Bryan. Am I invested if I didn't have to watch this every week, like, would I tune in every week to watch this show because they're on it? And the answer is like probably no. I'm not invested in any of these guys. And if you look at the viewership and the fact that none of these guys pop any type of a rating, that seems to be just the general consensus with everybody is none of these guys are actually stars.
I mean, I don't disagree at all.
And that's why they're bringing in Kane and Tyson Fury, and that ain't popping a rating
them in
either.
Because the Saudis are paying them sweet millions of dollars in blood money.
Yeah, Tyson Fury for sure. Kane is like, that's a long-term investment there. That's not just to appease the Saudis. So, and Kane ain't doing nothing for him.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's we'll see what happens. I hope it sticks this time, but I honestly don't have faith that it will. I think they're eventually going to fuck it up, I think. I don't mean to sound so dire about it, but I mean, that's the track record with this company. It feels like this time it'll work with the separate network thing, and I hope it does. I hope I am horribly wrong. Because I think, like, the initial draft, back in the early 2000s, when they did the initial draft, and they kept guys apart for a long time, they actually created a lot of fresh matches. So that when you actually got like Rey Mysterio versus Edge, they hadn't faced off, and they're like, oh, holy shit, that's a really cool match, actually. So you have the ability to do that again, but you actually have to have some self-discipline and actually follow your own rules. And they're just not very good at that. So
no, they're not.
Jeremy, we're going to move on to Ring of Honor. Glory by Honor 2019 took place Saturday night.
Let's knock this out in like 10
Number
minutes.
one contenders battle royal for a shot at Roosh later in the evening. Silas Young won at 7 minutes 50 seconds. Painfully dull and actually bad battle royal. Although New Japan and CMLL superstar Big Daddy Yum Yum made a fucking appearance, so I laughed.
I'm glad it wasn't Kenny King, Silas Young. I mean, we knew, especially given the talent in this match, that Roosh was going to destroy whoever won. So maybe good for Silas Young.
Number one contenders tournament semifinal match. PCO defeated Dalton Castle 12.5 minutes via pin. I thought this was a perfectly solid match with PCO picking up what I thought was a surprising win here.
I told you, all Villain Enterprises final. I called this one.
Second semifinal match. Marty Scurll defeated Jay Lethal 11.5 minutes via submission. I thought this was really good, as expected. One of the best things on the show, and it was the first thing on the show that had an actual energy to it and felt important.
Which is no surprise because Marty Scurll is the biggest star in the company.
That they haven't realized and they're going to lose. So, TV champion Shane Taylor defeated Jay Spade. Jay Spade was a local guy who they teased Taylor had problems with before signing with Ring of Honor. Shane Taylor Promotions came out. They had a solid little match. It was the overconfident champion versus the plucky challenger. It was totally okay. Shane Taylor Promotions won, and he is cool. I like Shane.
The GOAT, Shane Taylor.
Women of Honor title match. Kelly Klein defeated Angelina Love at 12 minutes to win the title back.
All right. I got to break my rule here. What is this company doing? First off, you give this match more time than Lethal and Skrull, which just complete nonsense. And I get, okay, Skrull would have had to wrestle a second match or Lethal, so sure, but no. And then you do this big title change with Angelina Love 2-3 weeks ago, and it seems like it's going to be the reign of the Allure, and like that, it's not good, but at least, you know, Kelly Klein's not doing anything, and you immediately put it, you know, oh my God, this fucking division. The Angelina Love thing wasn't going to be good, but it did set up Maria Manic coming in and just completely killing all three members of the Allure, winning the title in like 30 seconds and kicking off her reign. Instead, now you've got Maria Manic like helping out Kelly Klein, and Kelly Klein getting the title back. None of this shit makes sense, and this is why I refuse to talk about it on most shows, but because they've broken me with even stupider booking to where I've got to do at least a mini rant on it. But now I'm back to just not talking about it because this division is just completely stupid.
Just when you think the Women of Honor stuff can't get worse, it actually does. Let me say this. The match started out okay. I feel like I say this a lot with the Women of Honor. They were having an actual okay match. It was going along okay. It wasn't going to be great. It might not even have been good. But it was okay. It was a perfectly okay wrestling match. And then we got a ref bump. And then we got Mandy Leone throwing some of the shittiest chair shots you've ever seen. Maria Manic arrives, no-shells Mandy Leone's chair shots, puts her in the torture rack, and then she almost fucking kills Mandy Leone with a burning hammer because Maria Manic is a sloppy worker and Mandy Leone doesn't know how to fucking sell anything. She then clotheslined Angelina Love while the referee's staring at the ring, basically looking at everything. Kelly Klein hits her finish and then wins. It was all of the bullshit from this division I fucking hate. It completely rendered the Angelina Love title win useless, because as Jeremy said, you had a great story to have the monster figure come in and take out the Barbie dolls.
You had a good story.
That's a really good story. You have the monster come in and wreck the little fucking Barbie dolls and run them off forever. That's really good.
Yeah,
and then
it's
only serving to give Kelly Klein her fucking third title run, which, no offense, I'm sure she's a lovely young lady. I can't imagine anybody caring about.
No one does. Like no one cares about this division at all, and it's because they have people like Kelly Klein and Angelina Love at the top of the division. Okay, Maria Manic will help. Session Moth Martina will help if they ever wrestle a damn match.
Shit fucking booking though.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, and if they ever wrestle. They've had Maria Manic since June. She's had 0 matches. She debuted in June. They're going to go almost an entire half year without giving her a match. And it did seem like it was setting up perfectly of she destroys the Allure and wins the title, and there you go. That's your big thing. Instead, they rendered that useless. They probably would have screwed that up and had like Maria Manic lose her first match to Angelina Love anyway. So done with Women of Honor again. I said what I needed to say and criticize their dumb booking, but this is why I don't talk about it, because they don't know what they're doing. Can't wait for the
November shows where Kelly Klein and Maria Manic tag and then accidentally have a miscommunication so that Maria Manic can challenge her, because that's probably the lazy ass booking they're going to do.
Cannot wait to completely.
Next up, ROH Tag Team Champions, the Briscoes defeated Luke and Perry Hawks 12 minutes, 10 seconds via pin. It was a good match. The Briscoes are obviously really fucking great. They were very giving in this match. Luke and Perry are the hometown guys. They had the crowd was behind them. probably they were into this the most of anything on the show to this point. They were loving them some Luke and Perry Hawks. They rallied for them. Perry Hawks is only like 20, showed a lot of potential here. Good match with the Briscoes winning as I expected. But yeah, a good match. Good addition to the card. Definitely needed after the horrendous Women of Honor match.
It's because the Briscoes are awesome.
Next up, Alex Shelley defeated Jonathan Gresham 14.5 minutes via pin. This was a great technical battle, completely different than anything else on the card as you would expect. The only thing I hated here, and I thought this was a great match, is that they didn't follow up on Gresham's big win over Jay Lethal at the pay-per-view here. Had him lose his next match.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like either, is you give Gresham the big win against Jay Lethal, and then you have him lose to Alex Shelley, which, no disrespect to Alex Shelley, he's not a long-term player in this company. Like, yeah, he should be there to lose to guys like Jonathan Gresham. Like that's what he should be there for. And instead he beats Jonathan Gresham, and it's like, all right, you've completely halted Gresham's momentum right after the big win against Lethal, and it didn't make any sense. But I love Gresham. I do love Alex Shelley. I think he's great. He just shouldn't be beating Jonathan Gresham. Yeah, it was definitely a booking
misstep. Great match, but I did not like the booking of it because every time Gresham gets a little bit of momentum, they cut it off right away.
And I mean, it's tough to say, like, wait and see how it plays out, because this company has not shown that they can, make good on these stories. So I don't have any faith that they're going to actually follow it up and put some actual momentum beyond Gresham.
Lifeblood's Mark Haskins and Tracy Williams defeated Brody King and Flip Gordon at 11 minutes 10 seconds after miscommunication by Flip and Brody. It was a good and fun tag team match as usual, but I'm really done with Lifeblood versus Villain Enterprises at this point. And then, to make the show even better, Bully Ray arrived. Guess what he did, Jeremy? Guess what he did? He laid out Lifeblood. He beat the shit out of him again and stood tall.
The Lifeblood are geeks for a lot of reasons.
Even worse.
This is one of them. Yeah, like this is one of them. The fact that Bully Ray just comes out and punks these dudes every single time. It's like, why do we care about you? They're down to 2 members now.
If you guys don't watch Ring of Honor, let me clue you in on something. There are only 2 possible finishes in a Lifeblood match. They either A, lose the big match, or B, they win a semi-big match and then Bully Ray beats the fuck out of them.
Or they lose a big match and then Bully Ray still beats the fuck out of them.
That's the rare third option. But yes, it's not good. And the thing is, they're really talented guys.
No, yeah, I mean, we love Haskins, Bandito, and Williams, but like, there's no rhyme or reason to why they exist.
Lanny Poffo arrived to do some horrible commentary. That led to Roosh defeating Silas Young 10.5 minutes via pin. Perfectly solid but kind of flat match, and I thought Silas actually got in way too much on Roosh during his first title defense.
Yeah, 10 minutes. It should have been half of
I like Silas and all, but he got in way too much on Roosh, and Roosh just won the title. He beat Matt Taven, who had a decently long run with the title. You know, it wasn't like a month. I mean, he had a solid run with the title, and then like, you're going, like, it was like 60-40 for Silas in this match. Not even like 50-50, so it's like, yeah, I was not a fan of that. Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia arrived. They're here for blood. They want to know who attacked them a few weeks ago. Stalker footage aired, and then they ran to the back, and that was it. Yeah, DDP.
It's DDP.
Main event of the evening, the number 1 contenders match, with the winner getting a title shot at Final Battle against whoever is the champion at the time. PCO defeated Marty Scurll 14 minutes and 50 seconds via pin. Jeremy, your thoughts?
I didn't care for this match. It was like the Lifeblood run-ins, or not the Lifeblood, the Villain Enterprises run-in with Brody King and Flip Gordon and the ref bumps. Like, it was overbooked. to a point where it was unnecessary and almost, and this might not be the right term, but I'll explain why I use this term, almost uncomfortable, in that I would have just preferred Skrull and PCO to go out there, have a good match or as good as they can have, and then if you're gonna put PCO over, put him over. Instead, you got Villain Enterprises. Okay, they're Marty's guys, so they're all going after PCO. Like, it made PCO just seem like he wasn't part of the actual group, and they're just out to get Marty this one last title shot. And I think their goal was to like really put PCO over strong, like, hey, he's overcoming over all of this. But instead, it made him kind of look like he's just a pawn in Villain Enterprises, and maybe that's the end game. Maybe that's what he is. But he's just like, all right, well, Marty is the guy we're gonna go with here, and you need to fall in line with that. And if that's the story you're gonna tell, then don't have Marty after the match put him over and be like, I got a lot of years left. You're coming down to the end here, and you earned this title shot and stuff. Like, if I'm PCO and he's telling me like I'm coming down the end, to be like, dude, you just tried to fuck me out of this title match, and then you're saying I'm pretty much washed up and this is going to be my last one. Like, fuck off. Why am I doing anything for you anymore? So I didn't like the story of this match, and it wasn't, and because of all the overbooking and stuff, it wasn't even a good match.
Overbooked bullshit with all the run-ins and ref bumps. They tried every trick under the sun to try to make it interesting and cover up for the fact that, no offense, I love PCO. In a single setting, he is not a really good wrestler.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, you're going with PCO here, and now, unless you change things up, like, this is your final battle main event, and it is no offense to PCO, because I think we both agree his gimmick is fantastic, and he shouldn't be wrestling. He definitely shouldn't be like the quote unquote star he is right now, because 2 years ago we were like, okay, PCO exists. Like, this is the same guy, the fucking pirate guy. And thanks to the Walter match, it's like, oh, this guy rules. The problem is he can only have that match with one guy, and his name is Walter. And like, he's not having that match with Roosh. And because he can't have that match, he's really not a good like singles wrestler. He does his crazy bumps and stuff, and it's fine, but you've got to go out of your way to protect him, and especially in these singles matches. Like, in the tag matches, you can get away with it because Brody King's awesome. PCO can come in, he can do kind of his high spots and whatnot, and the crowd loves the hot tag and everything. But in a singles match, like, you can't quite get away with that as much, and he can't have a singles match, at least not one that should be main event worthy for your biggest show of the year for the ROH title. So I even questioned like PCO winning this match and then going on to face Roosh, because, all right, I get it, he's popular. Your main event ROH title match better not go too long, because otherwise, I don't know.
Very dubious
I don't really
choice
trust
here.
it.
The worst part is they announced matches for the UK tour, and obviously Marty's working that tour, and they announced them in a bunch of Villain Enterprises tags. So with that being the case, you completely ruined the chance here to... You could have done some of the run-in stuff at the end, but this was a golden opportunity to have Villain Enterprises. They could have chose PCO and ousted Marty here as a way out. And it's like, now you're not doing that, so how are you booking Marty out of the company now? Because I think you need to have a really good angle to make the other guys feel worth it with him gone.
Assuming Marty is leaving, and that seems to be the assumption. First off, if Marty's not leaving,
horrendous,
and this is what you booked, but completely par for the course, because even if Marty is staying through Final Battle, if he says like, yeah, I'll work through Final Battle, put him in that match and have Roosh beat him, fine, but put him in that match, because Marty is their biggest star. He's been their biggest star for ever since the Elite left at the beginning of the year. And they are the only people who don't realize that. Like they just don't for some reason. I I don't get it. There's a reason why Marty should leave and why he most likely will leave. But if he told you he's staying through Final Battle, then you put him in that match regardless if he's leaving because he's your biggest star. And so yeah, you have him put Roosh over in the end, even though Marty should have been an even bigger star if you would have put the fucking title on him at Madison Square Garden like everyone wanted. I don't understand. And yeah, if Marty is leaving in November, do they have a big show between now and November?
UK shows coming up, and then they have some early November shows. They're not exactly big shows, so it's probably going to be done sometime in there. But I don't know. I mean, I think you kind of blew a chance for a big angle. And then like the other thing too is kind of no matter what you did between PCO and Marty, the problem you're running into is Final Battle is going to be PCO versus either Roosh or Jeff Cobb. Because Roosh and Jeff Cobb face off on the UK tour. All three of those guys' deals are reportedly up at the end of the year. And there's no guarantee any of them are staying. This fucking company.
I don't know with ROH. Again, this is why they'll be on the WWE Network. And the thing is like, a year from now.
I watch these ROH shows, Jeremy, and you've even agreed, despite the company profile being done, they've had some good shows this year. It's just the problem is nobody's watching them. But the problem is there are people still with blinders on when it comes to Ring of Honor. Because I read all kind of takes on this show. This was a great ROH show. It was the best show I watched all week. This was maybe the best PCO performance I've ever seen. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here.
The Matt Taven match, the Matt Taven match with PCO was better than this. I didn't think this match was good at all. And I didn't think the work was good. And I understand the story they were trying to tell. Again, I don't think they told it that well. I think I'm almost explaining it for them because they didn't make it clear, especially with Marty's like post-match speech and everything. But just none of it came off well. Like none of it. It should have been, either Marty gets ousted and PCO becomes the leader, or PCO just fucks and turns on all these guys because they pretty much tried to fuck him over, and then Marty's giving him the little, condescending congratulations stuff, and the PCO just looks kind of like a moron for still hanging out with these guys. So I didn't think. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all. I was actually hoping they would try something really cool, and I was hoping that they would have, Villain Enterprises turn on Marty and PCO wins, right? And then you can have Kerry Silken or Joe Koff, whichever douchebag is there in attendance, come into the ring to hand PCO his contract for Final Battle. All you have to do is sign the contract, PCO, and the title shot's yours. And, they've already beaten the shit out of Marty, and then he hands the contract to Flip. And you find out that Flip was the mastermind all along, and he fucking got the title shot without even being in the tournament to fuck everybody over.
That's great. Honestly, that's really good, and it puts Flip over as this huge heel. You do is
that's
Marty
why I said
on the UK
they
tour?
booked themselves into a corner by not being able to do this because he's in a bunch of tags with various members of Villain Enterprises on all three shows.
You book Marty and Flip on the UK tour, the final night, whatever your biggest night is on there, like that. Marty in the UK, like that's going to be a big reaction. Like Flip just fucking beats him and becomes an even bigger heel because he's beating Marty because Marty's most likely on his way out. And then, you go with Flip and Roosh as Final Battle. And not only like have you actually gotten Flip over to a certain extent, like that's a good match. That's a match where you don't have to overbook the shit out of it or give it like 10 minutes because Flip and Roosh can both go. So your booking makes infinitely more sense than whatever.
I mean, I try, man, but I mean, I don't know, man. The Glory by Honor show was unfortunately not a good show. It wasn't one of those where I'm going to tell you, Listen, it was a good show, guys, and yeah, I know not a lot of people watched it. You should check it out. No, I mean, check out, if you're going to cherry pick matches and you have Honor Club, watch Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll, watch Alex Shelley and Jonathan Gresham. Those are the two matches you should see. They're not match of the year or anything, but they're very good to great matches, and you should enjoy them. But that's about it. Everything else is either okay, or it's either bad to okay. There's a couple good things in there, but as a whole show, not good.
Yeah, it wasn't. The Gresham Shelley matches was good, and that's really all you need to go out of your way to see. But it's a thing we'd say all the time. Like, there's so much good wrestling that just good doesn't really cut it anymore. You need something captivating, and they don't have anything captivating.
And it is a shame, man. But I mean, we're trying not to say the same things over and over again. But I mean, they keep making the same mistakes over and over again. So, Jeremy, New Japan Pro Wrestling, King of Pro Wrestling 2019. Changes to the card due to the typhoon. New Japan announced prior to the show that due to travel delays due to the typhoon, Jon Moxley will not be able to appear at the show. He was then stripped of the, or relinquished / stripped of the U.S. title. So his match with Juice Robinson was off. They later announced that Lance Archer would take his place and face Juice Robinson for the vacated title. Zack Sabre Jr. also off of the show due to travel issues. And people right away were, conspiracy theories, and AEW squashed his appearance, and Tony Khan created the typhoon, and all that shit. But then they keep forgetting that there's precedent, because when Makabe had the flu back in 2015 and couldn't make a title defense, they stripped him of the Open Neverweight title, and he was going to be back in a week. But they have a rule, generally, when you can't make your title defense, they will strip you of the title. I'm fine with it in an era where people false advertise like a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it sucked that Moxley couldn't make it, but it's their company. If they want to strip him of the title because of it, then let them strip him of the title. Because, in New Japan, Gato books things years out. So unless they had some type of assurances that, hey, Moxley can definitely be there for Power Struggle in a couple of weeks, then, then maybe you can try to make good and you just do a juice match or a multi-man tag match and whatever, do that. But maybe they didn't have that guarantee, and I'm not sure they would have that guarantee because that's on November 3rd. AEW's got television on the 5th, the 6th. I think it's the 6th. And that's the go-home show for Full Gear, so Moxley should definitely be on that show. And then they got Full Gear.
Japan date that close to a pay-per-view when they already had his last pay-per-view match next.
Right. Not only a New Japan date, but like a no DQ match against Juice. And Moxley's not going over there to just, to play it safe. Like, this is Jon Moxley. I'm sure he could have been told, hey, play it safe. But Moxley, if he's going over there to work a no DQ match, like, he's going to try to fuck some shit up. And I'm sure that was a concern for them in this one. But the fact that it was so far out from Full Gear, they don't have him advertised for a match between now and Full Gear. So you could maybe just keep him off and let him do promos and stuff. But you're talking a week less than a pay-per-view match, and then also the go-home show for, I guess they do have them advertised for a tag team match on Wednesday, so that could have been in jeopardy. But anyway, the go-home show for Full Gear, and then, the Omega match, like, you don't want to risk losing that again, so you can't put Moxley in the kind of match like that the week before. So I don't know if they had any assurances, and so because of that, they don't know when they could get Moxley back to drop the title to Juice, and because they don't know when they could get him back for that, they gotta keep it moving. So it is what it is. It sucks. It was an unfortunate situation. I thought they made the most out of it, though.
So we start off with Desperado and Kanemaru defeating Sho and Yo in a preview of the Junior Tag League, which starts Wednesday. Desperado is back from his broken jaw injury. I thought they had a good opener. Finish saw Kanemaru taking out Yo, Despy countering the shock arrow. We got a ref bump, Whiskey missed, and Desperado hits Pinche Loco to pick up the win in his return match.
It was a fine match. It was weird booking because they're gonna face again on Wednesday in the Super Junior Tag League. So it's like, all right, I guess Desperado and Kanemaru win here, and then Sho and Yo win on Wednesday. It's usually New Japan kind of stays away from that stuff. So I know they had to change the card because of the absences, but this was a weird match
a little
to
bit.
change it to.
That was the opener. I liked it. Wataru Inoue came to ringside. He was on the Tanahashi debut show 20 years ago, so he got to hang out at ringside. We saw Tanahashi and Hanma defeating Makabe and Yano 9:45. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Yeah, Tanahashi took it easy. It was pretty much what you'd expect it to be. I thought it was a
solid little tag to celebrate his anniversary and everything, and he invited Inoue in the ring post-match to celebrate, and they had a nice little moment. Next match was this was a changed match due to the card reshuffling and loss of Zack Sabre Jr. Naito and Shingo defeated Doki and Taichi at 9 minutes via DQ. It was okay, really flat and unsatisfying finish because the DQ. And they are unfortunately teasing a Naito versus Doki feud, which is going to be fucking dookie.
Whether it's Naito and Doki, or whether it's Naito and Taichi, like I don't need a Naito and Taichi feud again because it's just, it hasn't been good and it's not going to be good. So
no interest in that. Next up, we started getting a little more serious. Jushin Battle Liger versus Minoru Suzuki, Jeremy. Minoru Suzuki won 17 minutes, 40 seconds. I go to you first, sir.
It was cool to see Battle Liger. I like that Liger wasn't Thunder Liger, and he didn't quite go Kenshin Liger, but Battle Liger was a nice surprise there. I thought it started weird because they did some like grappling stuff, and this has been a blood feud, and so to like lock up and whatnot early and do like some test of strength stuff and grappling, it was like, all right, it's a little out of the ordinary. I liked the match. It maybe for me, I had really high expectations, and I don't know if it quite reached those expectations, but I really like the story of the match where Liger almost played like Suzuki's game with trying to grapple with him, because they talked about, and I thought Kevin Kelly did a really good job here. Like they talked about, oh yeah, Suzuki defeated him in a Pancrase match and everything. So Liger was like almost hungry to get that win back and play Suzuki style. And obviously that was the wrong move because Suzuki just beat him. And then they did the show of respect. I think Suzuki respected that, I got the guy that I wanted. I got the guy under the mask. He came into my territory. He was prepared for battle. He tried to fuck with me on my own game. He didn't try to play his game. Like he stepped to me like a man, and I beat him, but I respect that. So it was like an MMA fight almost. And I like the story that it told throughout, but my expectations were super, super high, and it was different than what I expected, but not in a bad way, and still like a great match once you if you follow the story.
Normally I would be very critical at the beginning, but I did like that Liger came in as Battle Liger because he wanted to fight. He wasn't insane Kishin Liger. Now, if Kishin Liger comes out and they fucking lock up and exchange wrist locks, I'm going to be pissed off. Battle Liger was here to fight, and like you said, Kevin Kelly did a good job of bringing up the Pancrase history and the fact that Suzuki submitted Liger 17 years ago. So Liger not only wanted to fight, but he wanted to beat Suzuki at his own game, which I really enjoyed. And the thing is, too, is like Battle Liger is still a good wrestle lad. He is not insane like Kishin Liger. But then, they did that for a little bit. They got pissed off. It broke down into an intense, pretty dramatic brawl. I thought Suzuki basically played like the movie monster heel here really well. Liger fought with everything he had from underneath. I thought the story was just really tremendous. Liger losing is just like really heartbreaking. It's like in a good way, you know what I mean? Because it's like you're so invested in that story, and he's fighting with everything he has. He barely has anything left, and you think he's going to do it. And then he eventually fades to the Gotch Pile Driver. And Suzuki wins, shows him respect post-match as he bows and kneels to him. And I I thought it was great overall. Very different from what I expected, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's kind of my feelings. Is it wasn't what I expected, but it was still pretty awesome.
Next up, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship was on the line. Will Ospreay defeated El Phantasmo 27-50 via pin. Jeremy, I will go to you first.
It was pretty much what you would expect between these two. Is just a super athletic contest. They went into the crowd, and Phantasmo did the big dive off the balcony and stuff. It was what. There's not a whole lot to say about Will Ospreay matches nowadays. He's really great. He's on another level. They did some of the Phantasmo Bullet Club run-in stuff, and that hurt a little bit, but in the end, Ospreay won. A good match. Will Ospreay continues to be awesome, and Phantasmo was good, but nothing like spectacular. This was, as a lot of matches with Will Ospreay, a Will Ospreay spectacle.
I thought it was very good. I thought it was on its way to becoming a great match. I really enjoyed it. Really athletic stuff. Phantasmo at the beginning teased fair play, and he wasn't gonna do all kind of bullshit. Towards the end, Phantasmo did something they've done a lot in the Bullet Club, to where he kind of harkens back to Bullet Club past and started stealing finishers like the Styles Clash, V-Trigger, and tried to do a one-winged angel at one point but got countered. But in between that, and in between all that great work and some good storytelling, was the typical bullshit that comes with Phantasmo, because he's junior heavyweight Jay White. In that every match breaks down to a ref bump, a distraction, a low blow, all that bullshit, and I'm just over it so much. Is it really hard to let two guys go in there and have a great fucking match without bullshit? That's all I really want, because this was on its way to being really, really great, I thought. I was enjoying a lot of what they did. I thought they did a ton of things right here. But I am just so over the bullshit stuff in the middle. Just can't deal with it anymore.
I mean, that's
I know,
Bullet Club.
It's been the same way for fucking years, which doesn't... everybody, that's like the defense for it. Well, it's been that way for years. That doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, come up, adapt a little bit and whatnot, but, I'm with you. It's an insult to Jay White to call El Phantasmo Super Junior Jay White, though.
So. Well, go text
that's an
and
insult
give
to Jay White.
Cyber kisses or something to make him feel better, Jeremy. I don't know. Excellent.
Well, I love Jay
I guess
White.
you'll love this next match. Hiroki Goto, Big Tom Ishii, and
I made breakfast
Yoshihashi
during this
defeated
next
Jay
match.
White, Kenta, and Yujiro Takahashi. Perfectly solid tag team match, but I felt it really struggled to lock into a smooth match. It was basically fine. Didn't do a lot for me though.
As I said, I made breakfast during this match. I needed some fuel, and I was like, this match is pretty unimportant, and I didn't go back to rewatch it, so apologies. I did see the post-match angle where Jay White was like, this fucking geek Goto getting a title shot, and then he shoved the title into Tanahashi's face and laughed at him.
Yeah, that was
Jay White
funny. He called
rules.
Goto a fucking geek. I liked it. Ishii and Kenta also brawled post-match.
Yeah, I like Ishii. I don't need to see them wrestle again after their last match. No, not really. I want to see them actually do something with the never open weight title, except to just have it hot potato around.
That's probably not going to happen for a while. So, anyway, we move on to the vacant U.S. title match, which ended up still being a no DQ match, as Lance Archer defeated Juice Robinson, Jeremy, to become the new champion. I get that they felt that they had to deliver a no DQ match because of Moxley missing the show. I think it probably would have been maybe better if they just would have had a regular match, because Archer had a really good G1, Juice is really good, and you can do a little bit of the light stuff that they always get away with, but I think they really should have considered moving the no DQ stipulation to Liger and Suzuki, because I think it would have fit that better. I'm really happy that Archer won here. It feels like a nice reward after a strong and surprisingly good G1. But I also feel kind of bad for Juice because this felt like his big program and moment was taken away from him. Very good and entertaining match. Be interested to see where they go with the U.S. title after this.
We talked about after the G1 that, Archer was really impressive, and we both thought that he'd be slotted into the U.S. title picture, and he got slotted in there a little bit earlier than anticipated because of the typhoon and Mox missing the show. I was happy that he got the win. I thought it was a nice change because, if Moxley makes this show, Juice is winning the title. So they could go back to Juice, and things will be fun. But having Archer win it, I was happy for the guy. He worked really hard in the G1 on a lot of different levels. Really, just his in-ring work, but all the promotion he did for Dallas and whatnot. So, good for Lance Archer. Yeah, the match was fine. Did it need the no DQ stip? Maybe not, but they promised the no DQ match, and I guess they felt they had to deliver. And they did some table stuff, they did some chair stuff. It wasn't as wild as I think we would have seen had it been Mox and Juice, but they delivered on the stipulation, so it was fine. It was nothing. I wasn't like blown away by it, and I think part of that just had to do with there just wasn't much of a it was a last minute match. That's what it was. So it was tough to really get into it from that perspective.
Lance Archer was going to continue killing Juice Robinson, but David Finlay made his return from injury, saved Juice, and he hit stunners on Archer to stand tall, and then Juice and Finlay shared a hug post-match, and I'd imagine they're going to team in the World Tag League, and I'm sure Juice is relieved not to have to tag with Mikey Nichols anymore.
They're both relieved that they're not in ROH with lifeblood
Someone
anymore.
posted that. They're like, when a picture of them hugging it, like that moment you realize you don't have to go back to ROH.
Yeah, really. It was cool to see David Finlay back. I like David Finlay, and I guess David Finlay's going to be back to lose to Jay White some more.
Death, taxes, and losing to Jay White is what David Finlay does outside of their first ever meeting, I believe. So, so next we went to the title rights match for Wrestle Kingdom 14. Kota Ibushi retaining his title shot, defeating Evil at 24 minutes. I thought they had a great match. They worked a good pace. I thought the work was really clean. They did a nice job of creating drama and Evil winning. Closing stretch was really great. Ibushi was going to win. There was very little doubt in it. But I did think that the home stretch created some really good drama, and that I thought was going to be the key to this.
Yeah, the home stretch did create some drama, and I will give them that. But it was a thing of we knew Ibushi was winning, and so I had a tough time just like really getting into it from that perspective. But it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Ibushi's awesome, and Evil is good. I'm not the biggest Evil fan, but he's good. And I will give them credit for trying to create that drama. I don't know if they fully succeeded, but they certainly gave it a good effort.
And then the main event of the evening for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Okada defeated Sonata 37 minutes and 28 seconds. They teased me, Jeremy. I went on my rant about how I wish they'd do something different, and they came out and for about 90 seconds worked a breakneck pace, and then they started working the regular Okada match.
Yeah, when Okada started with the shotgun dropkick attempt, it was like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. And then, as you said, like a minute, 2 minutes in, it slowed down into the usual kind of rest hold stuff or arm work stuff, whatever you want to call it. And it was your 40-minute Okada match. And look, these matches aren't bad. If you watch them just as a standalone match, they're very good. They're technically crisp. It's Kazuchika Okada and Sonata, who is awesome. So it's tough for them to have a bad match. The problem is, much like with the Ibushi match, is we knew Okada was going to win this fucking thing. So it didn't need to be 40 minutes of just drag it out and do the same match we have seen. And this is the fourth time this year So it's the fourth time we've seen a version of this match, and Okada's won every single one. He was 6-1 all time coming into this. His only loss was the G1 earlier this year, and that match was maybe the best of the bunch because it wasn't 40 minutes long. It was under 30 minutes. So again, the match was great, but we've seen it way too often this year. There was no drama. They, much like Ibushi and Evil, like they tried to create the drama, but there was even less than Ibushi and Evil.
Well, I think that's because Sonata worked
why,
Skull in approximately 69 times in this fucking match and couldn't get a finish off of it.
He did. He really did. And it's like, oh my God. So yeah, again, nothing technically wrong with it, but it's just we've seen it, and it was too long.
So
there was no
okay,
drama.
Okada goes to 7-1 all time against Sonata with the win, and that's the problem with booking this match because Sonata now he's a fucking geek. He's fucking Hiroki Goto, always losing the big match. He failed once again to do it. The match is a great wrestling match, but it's one I drastically wish they would have changed the style up for, and I talked about that in the preview. Sonata desperately needs to get rid of Skull End as a finish, because it's fucking dead. Nobody believes in it, nobody buys into it, and it's shit 90% of the time. I really hope the failure and his post-match reaction where he was crying is Okada gave him a little attaboy thumbs up, Sonata's sitting there crying.
He gave him the Orange Cassidy thumbs up as Sonata.
But I'm hoping that failure and his post-match reaction leads to some kind of character change for him because he desperately needs it. He needs to be freshened up, and hopefully, I mean, I can go like another year or two without seeing these two wrestle again. It's quality wrestling. It's good. It's often great, but I'm completely burned out on these two. And, you know, the story of Sonata taking Okada to longer matches as it goes on, it does make sense. Unfortunately, this one felt really long. It felt even longer than the 37 minutes it was. And for me, that was kind of a problem on this show as a whole. This show it was a big New Japan show. It went like 4.5 hours, and I felt every minute of it.
It really did. Like the show did feel longer than I knew. Like we were at the 3-hour mark when Evil and Ibushi were finally, coming to the ring and everything, or being getting to their match, and it's like, oh, this is going another hour between these two matches, and that includes entrances and everything. But you knew each match was going at least 30 minutes from not just bell to bell, but with entrances post-match and everything. So you knew it was going to be another hour between those two matches. And obviously both those matches were of the longer variety at that, especially Okada and Sonata. It's like, man, there's still an hour left, or there's two matches left. We're already 3 hours into this show. These two are going at least an hour. It just makes for a long viewing. And yeah, I mean, it was a New Japan show, so the wrestling was great, but it was a New Japan show where outside of Liger and Suzuki and the Ospreay and Phantasmo, there wasn't, especially once it lost Mox, and granted we pretty much knew Juice was winning that match, but Mox is such a almost novelty that it's like, oh, it's still Jon Moxley. I think the biggest problem is that the top two matches, there was just no drama in them. And so when you have your top two matches have literally no drama because you know who's winning, and both of these matches are going, one went 25 minutes, the other one went 37 minutes. It's like that's just really long for matches where we already know who is going to win. And I'm not saying that, okay, just because you know the winner, it only needs to go 12 minutes. I'm saying because you do know the winner, then don't have it go 40 minutes, because you're not really creating extra drama. You're just making us wait around for the outcome we all know is going to happen. The other thing, too, is like there was some great stuff on this card, but a lot of the time what makes these New Japan shows when they're this long fly by is like you get like your good matches, you get some great matches, and then you like oftentimes you get like 2 or 3 like excellent matches that like
you consider putting on your year-end list. And to me, we never got any of those. Like, I thought there were 3 great matches and then a lot of solid to very good. So when you're not hitting those big highs that you traditionally hit, in my opinion, again, some of you may have enjoyed it much more than I did, but to me, when you're not hitting those like dramatic high notes, then again, that's a thing to where the show kind of feels longer than it is. Because when you're watching that like really spectacular stuff, like it fucking flies by when it's that good. So.
Yeah, it does. And this show did not seem to really fly by. So, New Japan will be back in a couple of weeks, and they'll probably deliver another spectacular show. Shit, their announcement's happening in 12 minutes.
So, but that's gonna wrap us up for today. Jeremy and I will be back later in the week to obviously got to talk about the Wednesday Night War. And what?
Yeah, we should have talked about this off the air, but I'm gonna be out of town from Wednesday to next Monday. Sorry. Look, I got shit to do. I got people to visit, so I got vacation time. Oh
God, Jeremy, I don't know what to do with you. You're killing me.
I told you this last week, and then you completely forgot about it. But now we're just. Yeah,
all right, now I'll figure something out. I might have to go solo. So.
Steve Cook will.
Yeah, I'll talk to Steve, see if I can get him. That'd be good. So. All right, anyway, that'll wrap us up tonight. Thank you, as always, Jeremy, even though you're horrible in leaving me. That'll wrap up episode 59. Remember, you can follow the 411 on Wrestling Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and, of course, the 411mania.com website. Please make sure to subscribe to the show, share us around on social media, and if you have time, leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, take care, everybody.